All right. Where are we? Hello, welcome. I am getting a track ready right now, and basically there have been like a few weeks in a row where I've had to skip Sunday or Friday streams because I'm working on a track too hard, and I felt like, well, I got done with everything later than I felt like it, and I still have time in the day before I have to go to return to society, so I'm just this might be a short stream, but I'm trying to make it count. Fuck. It's me. Hello. That is a bird, though. That is indeed a bird on screen. Hang on. I didn't. It would help if I posted the right thing to the chat. Oh, I could have just posted the image. Whatever. Here. Alright. Okay. Awesome. Now, to go back to Twitter. Make sure Twitter knows I'm here. Fuck. Happy Father's Day. Alright. How bad do I look? Hang on. Alright. Hello. Hello, Ethereal. Alright. Where's card? So, welcome. I've had quite a fucking time lately with this track, because it's I've just had this. God, I'm so like not presentable. What the fuck? I've been fucking with this track. I was gonna put out a completely different track today, and then 3 days ago, Madi posted a beat in the chat, and I got super into it. It was like I heard a whole fucking universe in that thing. Here, is my sound doing the right thing? Digital out. I want you to be Sapphire. There we go. Alright. The stream may be a little bit finicky because there's going to be some uploads and downloads and stuff happening in the background. I'm just out of frame combing my hair here. Welcome, Kaneko. Glad you can make it. I'm sorry I haven't gotten back to you about the whole web design thing. Life hasn't stopped, and I've been meaning to talk to you more about that, but glad you're still showing up. Fuck. Hang on. I think, let's see, first thing I can do while I, I was gonna say finish shaving, but I really don't need to. Anyway, check out this track. It's not, oh god damn it, it's not playing the, why? I just literally set this. I just literally set it to Sapphire. Okay, here we go. hope you can make it home.
You know my light rays, night, day, singing through the void. How did you get to be the noise without stress behind your choices? From afar, our counterparts keep us alive. Without the dark, there'd be no need to shine. How does it feel to see the light? What's life like from outside? There's a moment in time we get to exist. Only the sun in the sky will be around to see the aftermath. We live, we die, but are we greater than this? The scale of life gave us lies about how we answer that. It's cold and heat and love and hurt. There's places where none of this works. Through shadows and valleys and troughs and dirt. We got it all here. Do you tire of hiding life away to shine so I can drive the way? I only code on earth here. Are we the frontier? I know your light rays, night, days, harmonize the noise. Can you hear how loud your voices? Is it luck? Is it your choices? From afar, our counterparts keep us alive. When it's dark, I know you're here to shine. How does it feel to be the light? What's life like from inside? The light. What's life like from inside? Without the dark, we can't make out the stars. Without the night, we forget where the lights are. Every peak you'll reach is far from clear. Without new tears, we misplace what our heart fears. You know my light rays, night, day, singing through the void. Did you get to be the noise without stress behind your choices? From afar, our counterparts keep us alive. Without the dark, there'd be no need to shine. How does it feel to see your light rays, night, days, harmonize the noise? Can you hear how loud your voices? Is it luck? Is it your choices? From afar, our counterparts keep us alive. When it's dark, I know you're here to shine. How does it feel to be the light?
So that's light. Oh! That's not mine. That was loud too. Fuck. Anyway, that's the track that I am currently trying to get put out right now. So, hello, here I am. Fuck. So happy Father's Day. I don't know how everyone's family situation is, but for those of you that have supportive fathers, happy Father's Day. I hope it was. I hope you guys had a good day. Yeah, fuck, Haley. I was gonna back when I got upstairs last night. I was gonna spend some time mixing stuff and show you the song, but I was literally fucking panting about to pass out tired. So fuck. Copyright strike. Yeah, no, I don't want to get strikes. I got up at around 8:30 or so today and came down here and just retracked a bunch of the vocals too. So this is one of those songs that just happened. And I've been having a lot of feelings about it because I don't know. There's a lot of and there's a few things about this. One is that I've never really been able to create like a backing track that I'm looking down here because I have my laptop. I'm moving stuff around on, but I've never been able to create like a backing track that sounded like um that I could put like certain melodies in my head too. There were always like certain melodies I would hear and I'd try to write a song around it and just couldn't. But I was just singing to that beat, and just like a few of the spare melodies I've been trying to get into shit forever just fell in and lined up, and I was like, God, this is one of my friends told me that being a musician feels like you're trying to write the same song. You're just trying to write the same song over and over again, but you're trying to make it perfect. And I think the most like the every musician sort of has like maybe six directions of like pinnacle musicianship that they can like go into, and this was straight at the fucking sun, straight at the fucking stars, and it was like one of those things where it sort of sounds like a very like a stereotypical high M case track, but to me it sounds like everything I could never get high M case to sound like. So I tend to work till 11 most nights, so I can't make streams often anymore. Oh, that sucks. I'm glad you can make it though. I'm redoing the cover in Akhenaten so I can upload the bonus stuff. By the way, if you're a patron, the bonus tracks, the instrumentals and backing tracks, come with alternate versions of the covers that have all the text in the bird script. So. Yeah. Okay, I should turn the tracking down on this. Also, Bob, thank you. There's this metaphysical thing. I want to go through just like the lyrics of this while I listen to this, or while I work on some stuff.
Without the dark, we can't make out the stars.
That's a fucking phrase and an idea that I've been trying to like word for years. And there's this whole conversation in the last etc verse update. Next. And like there's this part where one of them asks a question about someone, and then the other character just breaks into a whole spiel about like the difference between like space and stars, and how like and how like you need the contrast to be able to appreciate things. There's that simple idea of like you need the sorrow in order to feel happy. You need to know what happy feels like in order to not have it. And I think about that. I think about just that contrast, and like that's one of like the 3 points that this song like talks about. But
Without the night, we forget where the lights are. You know my light rays night day singing through the void. How did you get to be the noise without stress behind your choices? From afar, our counterparts keep us alive. Without the dark, there'd be no need to shine. How does it feel to see the light? What's life like from outside?
so Dan Winter talks about the heart of the sun a lot of the time, and like his conception of God is the heart of the sun. And I really like that. And I really like that as a gateway concept, because it's sort of the if I sound like I'm tearing up, it's because whenever I sort of orbit this topic, it it's really difficult to not just turn into like an emotional pit, no matter which emotion you're feeling. When you're talking about like the heart of the sun thing, it's really hard if you like feel it in your soul to like not just like break down about it. But the idea of like the sun is like a very simple thing. It turns one element into another element, and it's so condensed and so full of like, what it needs to do, that it just keeps doing it. It doesn't see its own end in sight. It doesn't know that. It doesn't have enough complexity in its interactions to really like to think, to know anything. But its magnetism, its sphere of influence, its gravitational pull, and the light and the heat that it puts out has harmonized the rest of the area around it out to the Kuiper Belt, right? In such a way that everything is right on cue. Like Saturn is made of patterns and rings, of stacking. Jupiter is made from storms and thunder and lightning and birdsong. And Earth is made of life and free will. And like all of the stuff that has ever happened here is because of the spin of the things around us, of the moon, the sun, Jupiter, and all of that. But it's like we look up and we see the sun every day, right? And we live our whole like minuscule lives in this like little speck of dust. Like kind of like going through hardship and shit. And dealing with all the complexity and all the noise. And sometimes we wish we could just be above everything else, where we don't have to do anything, where people will love us without knowing the dark sides of us, where we're only made of light, where people only see us and only see our light. We think it's like it's a thing at the core of a lot of humans. And that's this experience that we're in, right? But all of it is still part of what the sun is doing. It's just that it doesn't know that. Like, and it's just that gap, right? That gap of being able to have all the complexity that there could ever be in the universe in one place over a relatively short time. You get to have it all. The sun is alive for trillions, I don't know how fucking long. Longer than the Earth will be around. But like, it's, I don't know, like, for all of that time and all of that energy that spun itself into this, for us to have these minuscule lives where we experience more complexity than anything else in the universe, all because of the sun. We know so much. But when you're in that position, working constantly, burning yourself away, not knowing, not seeing anything, besides just the light that you're blinding yourself with, the simple tasks that you do forever until you burn out. We can have that experience. And a lot of times when we have that experience, people are seeing the results of our actions. And people get to have their own thoughts about all of the details of the things that we, put out into the universe. And they don't ever know. A lot of the times they don't ever know, what. They don't ever see up close the human animal that's playing that role of that figure that's shining over everyone. And this has been sort of a long-winded thing, but I'm only fucking 55 seconds into the song trying to explain the point. But the fact that we're both parts of the same system, right? That gap is intrinsic to being part of the same force, you know? Because we as humans have the opportunity in our lives to feel what it's like to be the sun and to feel what it's like to be the earth and to feel what it's like for fleeting moments to feel, eternal and bright. And those moments where you're known and appreciated. Like works of art that you pour your love and passion into. It goes dormant, like a seed or a spore does. And it floats through the ether and someone else finds it. And they can appreciate it, and it might do something for them emotionally. But that love and that effort was heard. And there's nowhere else in the universe where we can, in the same experience, know what it's like to be both sides of that equation. So, that's just a thing that's been, digging at me. And it's just that kind of, realization of, I remember I blew up at someone last year for talking about nihilism on my stream. And I couldn't really, articulate why it doesn't make sense to me to think that our existence is insignificant because of how small it is. And black holes are not insignificant. There's just a lot going on there. But, it's just that, I've been thinking about that a lot. Anyway.
Without the dark, there'd be no need to shine. How does it feel to see the light? What's life like from outside? There's a moment in time we get to exist. Only the sun in the sky will be around to see the aftermath. We live, we die, but are we greater than this? The scale of life gave us lies about how we answer that. It's cold and heat and love and hurt. There's places where none of this works, through shadows and valleys and troughs and dirt. We got it all here. Do you tire of hiding life away to shine so I can thrive the way I only code on earth here? Are we the frontier? I know your light rays, night, days, harmonize the noise. Can you hear how loud your voices? Is it luck? Is it your choices? From afar, our counterparts keep us alive. When it's dark, I know you're here to shine. How does it feel to be the light? What's life like from inside? Without the dark, we can't make out the stars. Without the night, we forget where the lights are. Every peak you'll reach is far from clear. Without nadirs, we misplace what our heart fears. You know my light rays, night, day, singing through the void. Did you get to be the noise? Without stress behind your choices. From afar, our counterparts keep
So, you know, I hope that song means more to you. Like, but man, I've just been having a really emotional time lately. The past few days especially. But I make fun of like metaphysical shit sometimes. I make fun of, the more ridiculous and out there collections of words and concepts that people put together. And, I think it's about. Some of it's because, I care about these ideas and I care about, making them seem a bit more lighthearted than they are. Because I think we don't have enough positive thoughts in circulation. I feel like. So like, there's clips of Dan Winter talking about random shit over some of my songs, but I believe the understanding of like the heart of the sun thing is like it's just a gateway to like emotional reality. You can consider and you can feel that like whatever context that we have, like being animals that are shaped the way that we are, um we're molded and kind of taught and indoctrinated, I guess, by our environment and our context. And all anyone is a product of, their genes, their upbringing, and whatever elements in the outside environment knock them left or right, make them lean one way or another, avoid or chase whatever. And at the core of that, the thing besides just the meat functioning and the chemicals that are running through us is energy and electricity and magnetism. The stuff that our atmosphere catches from the sun. The same spark in all of us that animates us, that makes us think to the point where we have more choice. It all comes from the same place. It all runs on the same laws. And we make up the rule set in our head for how to navigate those things. And the tools we have to navigate them are different depending on, how the way that someone was raised or what experiences they've had. But that's the thing is, when I think from the point of view of anyone, I can hear through their hostility their vulnerabilities. Through their anger, I can hear what they're afraid of. And it makes me remember that we're all just animals trying to pretend to be something more intricate than we are. And we justify the ways that we have to navigate our own psyche by offloading those stresses, offloading those fears, damning the places that we don't want to go to by damning the people who've gone there. Because we're all running on the same shit. We just have different experiences. I wasn't planning on just crying for an hour straight on stream. So, like... but thanks for listening. Oh my god. It's Father's Day today, and, you know... I don't have a lot of money, and I don't have a lot of time. But, you know, I just sent my dad a message this morning just because I've been thinking about this for, you know, the past 2 days, and just, you know, if there is this emotional fire in me, I might as well milk it for all it's worth. I just sent my dad, like, a really heartfelt Father's Day message because, like, I can say the same thing about me in terms of just being shaped. You know? Like, I'm just sort of, like, I feel like, and I've said this before, I feel like I'm sort of just a result. I feel like, you know, there's things that I want in life. There's things that I think are me intrinsically and things I've decided to be, absolutely, but you know, I can't say for sure that those things aren't just wired into me through my life experience and what I was born with. But like, I'm gonna try to start from zero context to a lot of context. Trying to think of like where to start in terms of like explaining all this, because I could just start at the conception of capitalism, but I I fucking I Kenosha, Wisconsin is a very interesting place. It is within the Milwaukee-Chicago fuck enclave, I would say. And I don't know why the fuck people move here. But hang on. And now I'm thinking the stars brought me here. Oh my god. I'm glad you're here, Fraggy Dendron. Oh my god. And yeah, sometimes like weird mishaps and stuff. That tends to be how people find me. But Kenosha, Wisconsin's a weird city, and there's a lot of people from the past few hundred years who've started off in Kenosha, left and got big, and then came back. And so there's a bit of a hideout city sort of vibe that Kenosha has. Al Capone had a mansion here. When the founder of Universal Studios, Carl Laemmle, made his money, he started building movie palaces around the country and built one in Kenosha, Wisconsin. This is the building I live in. You can go look up Rust Belt Ruins. I've done a video about this. So my grandpa, who was a first-generation immigrant, came to America. They moved to Kenosha, Wisconsin. They moved from a small fishing village in the Netherlands called Krabendijk. Or Krabendika, whatever. It's a place with shallow water and they catch crabs. So, my family 3 generations ago came to Wisconsin. And when my grandfather was 18 or 19, he had to go fight in the military, right? So this was the 40s, and my grandpa had grown up. You know, some of the first experiences that he had being in America and seeing American media and seeing American entertainment were at the Kenosha Theater. So, you know, this 5. I could find a picture of my grandpa. He was also 5 foot nothing. He looked exactly. He had like sharp eyebrows. Um, he basically looked like me if I would have joined the military and became a baseball player instead, which is a weird idea. But he had a lot of memories of the Kenosha Theater. He went and fought in World War II, came back, started a family, and then found out that the theater was closing. So he bought it out of nostalgia, out of coming to the United States for the first time, and not wanting to let that experience go. So in the 80s, they renovated part of this building to create the apartments, to turn all of the office space into apartments. I live in one of them now. My sisters have lived in them, my dad's lived in them, my uncle has. My friend Jared has. That's how, that's how family we are. But on top of that, my dad has been a media mogul for his whole life. He was an audio producer. He did audio commercials. He did recording for stuff. He recording for like commercials. He ran the video wall at Gurney Mills, and God, I don't even. He ran the video wall at Gurney Mills, which is, it was the first 90s mall. Do you remember 90s mall culture? Do you remember watching cartoons or sitcoms from the 90s and all of the teens would go to the mall? You know how the mall looked? How the vibe of the mall was back in the 90s? There was a team of people responsible for that in the early 90s. They worked for the Mills Corporation, who were the frontier in stylizing malls, making them the capitalist hub of whatever. My dad was on that team. My dad went to grand openings of different malls across the country during the 90s. If you think about 90s mall culture, about zany storefront advertising styles, I'm the descendant of that style. One of the guys that my dad hires now works in Dubai as the head of the branch of the Mills Corporation over there. It's a global fucking company. They started in Gurnee, in Illinois, just south of here, in the fuck enclave. I should note. So my dad, he's been all of these things. He was a bassist, he was a session musician, he's been a live musician. He got into a fight with the lead singer of Judas Priest one time. But my dad has had a very eventful life. And when everything settled down, and I was born, my dad decided, to downsize his operations. He got some businesses going in the city so he didn't have to drive to another city to work. And he built this studio with this console from a place that he'd worked before. You can see where my aesthetic comes from. With, the sound paneling, and I have videos of my dad with a bunch of drywall, and this is just a skeleton. This building is just a skeleton, this room I'm in. And, it's just him and a couple of his friends. And they're hammering away at stuff, and he's mixing concrete, saying here's how you mix concrete, and then he fucks it up, and then on camera he's like, well, this isn't exactly how you mix concrete, but if you can do it better, come here and fucking do it for me. And I was like, it's weird to see family memories from back before I had conscious thoughts about how my fucking parents interacted. But so I live here now. I grew up surrounded by 30-40 years of music equipment. with in this building that is fucking remarkable, built by the guy who started Universal Studios, a historical figure for how many Jews he was able to bring in the country through immigration policies. That's the reason he started that branch of the entertainment industry, to save his Jewish friends and family from the Holocaust. He made his money from that, and he built this building. My grandfather, who had just started to see the American dream after getting off the boat from fucking Krabbendijk in the Netherlands, saw this theater, loved it, fought in a war, came back and bought it. And my dad had his hand in... I'm leaving out all the shit about Clintons and corporate Democrats, but my dad had a hand in shaping the culture of the 90s. And all the people that he helped when the financial crash came in 2008, let us rot. That was 10 years ago. So, what do I do? Besides, live it up. I left out the part about how many times we've tried to restore the theater, and how many times in the process, right before we're ready to go, someone dies or gets cancer. And so this place is sat, ready to be restored. The plan in action. The guy who's done 40 of these theaters, restored 40 of these theaters over the course of, since the 80s. He was full throttle behind this project. His team was full throttle behind this project. And no one listened to him. And he died. And now, to pay my rent, well, it's not the only... Okay. There's a few ways I make money from odd jobs. And one of them is scanning in aspects and the legal documents of theater restorations from Ray Shepherdson, the guy who restored 40 fucking theaters. So, if the money ever comes, I know how to get shit done. I've seen the records for 40 of these fucking restorations. And I'm just sitting around here. And my dad's just sitting around here. And people call us and they say they have the money. And we set things up and we try to get things going. Everybody bluffs. Everybody wants to be the savior. So sometimes I get mad about that. Sometimes I get mad that, this is abandonment. We've been left behind. But I remember, who the fuck else gets the opportunity to live in the microcosm of the birth of fucking 90s kid culture in a building built by the founder of Universal Studios? Who has that privilege? I don't care how much money I have right now. I can survive. I worry about surviving in the future. I worry about the trajectory of how much money I make because I don't want to fizzle out and burn out and whatever. But besides that, as far as life privilege goes, my family has built the most interesting life experience that I could have ever asked for as a cosmic being waiting for a body. I feel like I lived through 7 million fucking lifetimes, and I got to this table after I'm about to reincarnate again, and they were like, alright, this one might be a little fucked up. It's gonna be a little fucked up at the beginning. But you're gonna love this. Stick with it. And that's how I feel. I'm gonna play this song again while I keep typing up lyrics.
Without the dark, we can't make out the stars. Without the night, we forget where the lights are. You know my light rays, night, day, singing through the void. How did you get to be the noise without stress behind your choices? From afar, our counterparts keep us alive. Without the dark, there'd be no need to shine. How does it feel to see the light? What's life like from outside? There's a moment in time we get to exist. Only the sun in the sky will be around to see the aftermath. We live, we die, but are we greater than this? The scale of life gave us lies about how we answer that. It's cold and heat and love and hurt. There's places where none of this works. Through shadows and valleys and troughs and dirt. We got it all here. Tired of hiding life away to shine so I can thrive the way I only code on earth here. Are we the frontier? I know your light rays, night, days, harmonize the noise. Can you hear how loud your voices? Is it luck? Is it your choices? From afar, our counterparts keep us alive. When it's dark, I know you're here to shine. How does it feel to be the light? What's life like from inside? The light. What's life like from inside? Without the dark, we can't make out the stars. Without the night, we forget where the lights are. Every peak you'll reach is far from clear. Without nadirs, we misplace what our heart fears. You know my light rays, night, day, singing through the void. Did you get to be the noise without stress behind your choices? From afar, our counterparts keep us alive. Without the dark, there'd be no need to shine. How does it feel to see your light rays, night, days, harmonize the noise? Can you hear how loud your voices? Is it luck? Is it your choices? From afar, our counterparts keep us alive. When it's dark, I know you're here to shine. How does it feel to be the light?
Yeah. I keep. First off, thanks to the chat. I've just like rambling, but I mean, like, that means a lot. You know, I wonder. I've said a lot of stuff. I've gotten close to breaking down on stream a few times before. I do record these streams. They're usually added to a full streams playlist. A lot of them are unlisted, but still end up in the playlist anyway. I forget sometimes, but I'll definitely put this one up. God. But yeah, no, I sent my dad a Father's Day message just because I had to, like, reiterate the sense of, like, I don't understand, like, how the universe lined up the way it did. And, you know, my dad used to worry about, like, oh, what am I gonna leave you? I want to have something good to leave you. And it's like, he has a 3-story house with a basement and, like, 3 bedrooms. like enough space in the attic and like the lower floors to make more bedrooms. We have the biggest theater in the city. We have a studio with equipment it would take me a lifetime to amass and save up for. So he, like, I just wanted to let him know he might feel inadequate because there's people in this country, there's people that he worked with that got so much bigger, so much more successful. But I wouldn't be the fucking person I am if I didn't grow up in this situation. And, all of that. What my dad said back to me was, our normal is not normal. But the path less traveled has better scenery. And I think about, for 10 years in my head, I had this mind palace, just a small enclosed space. I always thought of myself as this, small bird in a cage, writing the voices of the gods, looking out onto, sometimes a bright star field and sometimes a planet that looks like me, like a huge thing that I know is part of me. I always understood in my dreams that the things I was writing were the things I was seeing outside of the window. And when I moved into my apartment, I went and picked out the colors to paint the walls. We had the worst floor, but we finished it, refinished it, buffed it all, and then put a new coat of wood finish on it. And it basically looked like the floors at my old house. And then, we dug this little woven wood nest chair out of the basement. And I was given some furniture that was basically bigger, upgraded versions of stuff that I had in my house already that I was used to and was familiar to me. And my dad, while we're painting the apartment, after I just picked out the colors, I didn't tell my dad what exactly the color. I didn't show him what the colors were. But he sends me a picture of this mandala, of a blue and green mandala, of just a flower of life sort of thing. And messaged me like, this seems like something you, I don't know why, this seems like something you would be into. And at the time, my dad didn't know how much I was into, sacred geometry, flower of life, because it's. And I moved into this apartment. My window faces a wall. And that might sound shitty, but I don't care. And I think it's fucking fantastic. Because when everything was set in place, I had the pile of beanbags in the corner that I could just flop and sink into, like I'd imagined forever. I had my own bed that I was comfortable with, the headstand on it. I had that nest chair. I had notebooks that looked like they did in my dreams. One of which a friend made me. One of which I found at a furry con randomly. Looked exactly like things I dreamed about for 10 years. And at night, when I looked at that wall, an apartment below me had a disco ball thing. So there were these swirling blue and green lights on a tan wall. As I was sitting there, writing in a conlang of mine, within a chair that's shaped like a nest cage. And I looked out at it after I made the decision to move. I made the decision. I'm going to make all of my dreams a reality this year or bust. I thought that at the beginning of 2017. I saw those lights swirling in June of 2017. And I knew in my fucking soul, just like in my dreams, that what I write is what I see through that window. And you might not know how all of these things line up. Might know how all of those elements, and some of it might be self-fulfilling prophecies. Sure. But if you commit yourself to making that dream a reality, you can get there. I don't have a choice. I tried to run away from my family, and my blood fucking turned orange. I became anemic. I'm not human. I'm just sort of a construct that's tied into this experience, and when I waver from it, I get punished. I feel honestly like I've sort of fallen from that state of like understanding and realizing. And I've sort of fallen from that state of being able to just go and do. And I think, as time goes on and things get more and more complicated, there become more things in the way in our psyche than go and do. There were three things that put me into that go and do mode. One was I went to a furry con the first time and realized how nice it is to just be queer around people and not worry about that. Two, I was rejected. That kind of sucked. Three, Donald Trump was elected. So the combination of this is a whole new life, and this is something that's not worth thinking about anymore, and this is a totally different situation that is making me accept that things will never be perfect and that I should just go do what I want to do because there will never be a perfect situation and setup with which I can do it in. All of those things hit me. A new life, something I can let go of, and something to accept, the fears and risks anyway because they're not going to get better. And sometimes you need, one good thing and two bad things. Sometimes you need one bad thing and two good things. Sometimes you need three bad things, and then you make up the good thing. Sometimes you need three good things, and then you make up the bad thing because you get overwhelmed at how good things are. But yeah. It's 6:30. I've been talking for like an hour and a half about this. Without the dark, we can't make out the stars. Without the night, we forget where all the lights are. I just want to make sure all these lyrics are right. You know my light rays, night, day, singing through the void. How did you get to be the noise? Without stress behind your choices. From afar, our counterparts keep us alive. Without the dark, there'd be no need to shine. How does it feel to see the light? What's life like from outside? There's a moment in time we get to exist. Only the sun in the sky will be around to see the aftermath. We live, we die, but are we greater than this? The scale of life gave us lies about how we answer that. There's cold and heat and love and hurt. There's
There's places where none of this works, through shadows and valleys and troughs and dirt. We got it all here. Do you tire of hiding life away to shine so I can thrive the way I only code on earth here? Are we the frontier? I know your light rays, night, days, harmonize the noise. Can you hear how loud your voices? Is it luck? Is it your choices? From afar, our counterparts keep us alive. When it's dark, I know you're here to shine. How does it feel to be the light? What's life like from inside? The light. What's life like from inside? Without the dark, we can't make out the star.
I appreciate that. There's a part of the story I left out that I feel like is also pretty important, especially considering what I'm doing now. But my dad has had the same couple friends from, you know, the 70s, 80s that he's, you know, just, hey, you want $20? Hey, you want some pizza, some booze? Like, fuck, you want to come over and move some stuff, build some stuff? And I've met quite a few characters, you know, from just people my dad's known. Like his old drummer, Kevin Litz. I shouldn't have just said his name. No, go fuck out checking. Go check out Kevin Litz. He's got so much music. He's done so much music. I hear him. He's one of those people where whenever they're working on shit, Kevin Litz is like, oh, put on Screamer, put on some of my music. And they do. And you could listen an entire day and you would not run out of that motherfucker's music. He did nothing but drum for like, I don't know, 50 years. Goes off on tangents. I mean, like, I try to get things done, but like the reason that I stream in the first place is to like try to talk and have conversations with people. Because, you know, I like just not being sometimes I don't want to have to make myself presentable. I don't want to have to do this like consistently, and that gets a little rough to you know, keep coming back and like doing stuff, and sometimes I feel a little burnout and look a little burnout, but I like to have just like conversations and just like spiel about stuff. I've thought about just doing a podcast. Fuck. But yeah, the guys that would work with my dad, there's one of them who spent some time in Iceland, and he was really into the Urantia book. Whenever he's over here, he's talking Urantia terms. I don't even understand all of it. And the Urantia book is fucking insane. If you've heard, have any of you heard of this book called the Bible? Imagine if you took the Bible, right, and you took it, and then you somehow took a thing and you hue shifted it blue, dark blue, and then you scaled it up like twice the size. And then you opened it and tried to read the pages. This is the text of that. The text, that is how I would describe the Urantia book, is if you put it through a Moore machine. Like, if you put the Bible through a Moore machine. Here, let me... I could just talk about the Urantia book for like a year on a podcast. I would actually love to talk about metaphysics on a podcast. I wanted to, it's just, I don't have fucking time. I gotta figure out a time to do it. I could just divert, I used to stream 3 times a week. I could divert one of these streams to just recording a podcast. And then I could have it live, and then I could put it out later after editing. The Urantia book is fucking fascinating, and my dad's friend, Tom, I believe his name is, talks about this shit all the time. Talks about the dimensionality and how humans have like no conception of it, and like the you know, Nebadon and Archangel Michael and what he's doing. And so Inasmuch as man's highest possible concept of God is embraced within the human idea and ideal of a primal and infinite personality, it is permissible, and may prove helpful, to study certain characteristics of the divine nature which constitute the character of deity. The nature of God can best be understood by the revelation of the Father which Michael of Nebadon unfolded in his manifold teachings of a superb mortal life in the flesh. The divine nature can also be better understood by man if he regards himself as a child of God, and looks up to the paradise creator as a true spiritual father. The nature of God can be studied in a revelation of supreme ideas. The divine character can be envisaged as a portrayal of supernal ideas, but the most enlightening and spiritually edifying of all revelations of the divine nature is to be found in the comprehension of the religious life of Jesus of Nazareth, both before and after his attainment of full consciousness of divinity. If the incarnated life of Michael is taken at the background of the revelation of God to man, we may attempt to put in human words, symbols, certain ideas and ideals concerning the divine nature which may possibly contribute to a further illumination and unification of the human concept of the nature and the character and the personality of the universal Father. Do you see what this prose, what the meter, and what the construction of the verses in the Urantia book, are you hearing what I'm hearing about who they influenced? In all our efforts to enlarge and spiritualize the human concept of God, we are tremendously handicapped by the limited capacity of the mortal mind. We are also seriously handicapped in the execution and assignment by the limitations of language and the poverty of material which can be utilized for purposes of illustration or comparison in our efforts to portray divine values and present spiritual meanings to the finite mortal mind of man. All our efforts to enlarge the human concept of God would be well nigh futile, except for the fact that the mortal mind is indwelt by the bestowed adjuster of the universal Father and is pervaded by the truth spirit of the Creator Son, depending, therefore, on the presence of these divine spirits within the heart of man for assistance in the enlargement of the concept of God. I cheerfully undertake the execution of my mandate to attempt the further portrayal of the nature of God to the mind of man. Who does this sound like to you? Is the Urantia book just thesis religion? Yeah. It's all that shit that I just said about the sun. These first like 3 paragraphs are like talking around that. And it just goes on. The universe sovereigns may engage in adventure, but the constellation fathers may experiment. The system heads may practice, but the universal Father sees an end from the beginning, and his divine plan and eternal purpose actually embrace and comprehend all of the experiments and the adventures of all his subordinates in every world system and constellation in every universe of his vast domains. No thing is new to God, and no cosmic event ever comes as a surprise. He inhabits the circle of eternity. He is without beginning or end of days. To God there is no past, present, or future. All time is present at any given moment. He is the great and only I Am. Yeah, so here's what I'm getting at about the Urantia book. My dad has been building this building, refurbishing and renovating parts of this building with a guy that talked about fucking nothing but the Urantia book and weed. But can you imagine? If you think metaphysically, think about how much of that is baked into the walls. If you think just in terms of chaos theory, think about how much of that, because my dad had the Urantia book. He gave it to me. Think about how much of that has just been a subconscious teaching that everyone in my family and like our surrounding whatever has known. I grew up on this like people grow up on the Bible. Like people are raised, parents make decisions about how to raise their kids based on their religious upbringings and the tenets that they understand like at their soul from spirituality. They think in the terms of it. I was thinking in the terms of the Urantia book since before I ever fucking heard of it. But, like when I thought up Karo and when I thought up that character and Chihoti, like basically I sort of wanted them to be, whenever they open their mouths, it's just this. And I want like Chihoti, if I ever show Chihoti and give Chihoti dialogue, to just like whenever as anyone asks them like like a yes or no question. They just go into the eternal sun is the perfect and final expression of the first personal and absolute concept of the universal and just don't stop. Like thank you, Leigh Williams. Also thank you, Doomed Prince again. But you know, like the more intricate way of thinking about spirituality in terms of ways that basic human things work, um, that it's something that I've always thought about. Like, okay, when I was a kid, my dad taught me we would do this thing called the bone of the day. Um, I knew the names. I can't remember fucking jack shit about the bone names now. I couldn't remember jack shit about that. What I did remember that my dad taught me was that everything alive ever, and I did that Y kid thing. I was like, so grass, so bugs, so trees, so like dogs, so like everything, everything alive. I understood the definition of alive, and as a fucking 3-year-old, I knew what that meant. And my dad explained to me that everything alive was made of 4 letters. And I was like, what? And I remember I was 4 or 5 years old. I knew the names. Adenine, thymine, guanine, cytosine. I couldn't fucking spell. But I could crack open a fucking Grey's Anatomy book and point to bones. I could, way back when, tell you which proteins could be generated by which sequence of 3 fucking codons in a row. And I've always thought about life like that. We're only twice as complex as binary. The fuck? Knuckles are joints. They connect the phalanges. What is it? The distal phalanges? No. Metacarpal bones? No. Fuck. I'm 25. It's been a long time since I was 4 years old. God. We talking about bones? Fuck yeah. Fuck yeah, we're talking about bones. We have so many bones. I'm so much better at talking about genes and blood and context than bones. I don't know shit about bones. Fourths know more about bones. I'm a 9th. I think a skeleton is a lot of bones. Nah. Skeleton is such a fucking hard word to I was trying to come up with an Anglic word for skeleton, and it's really difficult. And I tried to come up with frame or structure or like some kind of like word for that to make it like body frame or something like that, like or muscle frame. Like I couldn't do it. I couldn't figure that out. I think there's probably a word for skeleton in there somewhere. But wait, Marty's here. I didn't even see when you joined. Marty. Shit. I've just been talking about the Urantia book. Have you heard, Marty? Have you heard the final version of the song yet? 'Cause I'm about to play it.
Without the dark, we can't make out the stars.
About to launch this very soon.
Without the night, we forget where the lights are. You know my light rays, night, day, singing through the
Bone
void.
Collective, that's good.
Did you get to be the noise without stress behind your choices? From afar, our counterparts keep us alive. Without the dark, there'd be no need to shine. How does it feel to see the light? What's life like from outside? There's a moment in time we get to exist. Only the sun in the sky will be around to see the aftermath. We live, we die, but are we greater than this? The scale of life gave us lies about how we answer that. It's cold and heat and love and hurt. There's places where none of this works. Through shadows and valleys and troughs and dirt. We got it all here. Do you tire of hiding life away to shine so I can thrive the way? I only code on earth here. Are we the frontier? I know your light rays, night, days, harmonize the noise. Can you hear how loud your voices? Is it luck? Is it the choices? From afar, our counterparts keep us alive. When it's dark, I know you're here to shine. How does it feel to be the light? What's life like from inside? The light. What's life like from inside? Without the dark, we can't make out the stars. Without the night, we forget where the lights are. Every peak you'll reach is far from clear. Without new tears, we misplace what our heart fears. You know my light rays, night, day, singing through the void. Did you get to be the noise without stress behind your choices? From afar, our counterparts keep us alive. Without the dark, there'd be no need to shine. How does it feel to see your light rays, night, days, harmonize the noise? Can you hear how loud your voices? Is it luck? Is it your choices? From afar, our counterparts keep us alive.
I'm so glad.
When it's dark, I know you're here to shine. How does it feel to be the light?
Oh,
The Dracu line had conquered using
I want to talk about this.
terror, and the only culture that they encountered which could resist them was called the bird dog culture. And
Okay, so first off, everybody in the chat, thank Monty for making that beat in the first place. I sort of like recreated their percussion track. And then threw guitars over it, but like the plucks, there is a little piano loop that kind of sounds like the beginning of spring cleaning, and a couple like other ambient tracks where he just did them in Fruity Loops and put out the stems. Fucking, I'm so glad you put out the stems for that. Also, I'm gonna have to like buy you Fruity Loops or like Ableton or something. You can make me more beats. Or just make more beats in general. Sell beats on the internet. God. This is the one that I hope just, you know, like it would be really funny if this, you know, after everything, this is the one that just poof, like blows up everywhere, and then we get to tour, and you can be the person, on like a DJ stand, on a DJ stand, like with like turntables, doing nothing with sunglasses on while like a light show is going, and I can just be like in front of it, dressed in like fucking short shorts, just like wailing. Do a fucking get Jared to play those 4 notes on bass over and over again. Fucking call Jan to do drums. Footy whoop. God. But I also want to talk about this little bit at the beginning of you have an idea. You have an idea. Say what your idea is. And I'll tell you if you're right. Because I feel like I've said this before. Okay, okay, this quote. I keep getting distracted. I'm doing like 3 things.
Using fear and terror, and the only culture that they encountered which could resist them was called the bird dog culture.
Okay, that intro is from a Dan Winter video where he's talking about, like supposedly the extraterrestrial history behind the human genome, which is, like I've listened to Dan Winter, and he says like I don't actually believe this shit, but it's a really good metaphor for blah 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 blah, and like he knows the power of stories, right? Where having belief in concepts and connecting them and realizing them in certain ways can create much stronger emotions than if you put everything into like a little petri dish of acceptable reality. And so, he has all this stuff about like there were fucking dragons and they made dog people, and there's like fucking bird aliens and dragon aliens, and they're different, but the dragons want you to think that they're the birds and vice versa. And it goes on this whole fucking thing about like, not even, and he even goes into a point where like people say that the Jews are reptile people, and those people are fucking stupid because there definitely were reptile people and they have nothing to do with the Jews. And like he goes off on that whole shit. So like that's why I like Dan Winter, is because he takes like he takes like the most like ridiculous kind of out there conspiratorial kind of stuff and totally disconnects it from like the religious dogma that people try to justify in a lot of like new age content. And it's just out there. It's so fucking out there. Like I literally watched 2 of his videos 3 times through, and then I was just like, there's so many things I want to write music about. And then all of Jacqueline Knight happened, and Crow's Eyed. Draw you the special. Okay. Yeah, I've seen your Pokemon D&D stuff. Special typing with evolutions themes similar with Pokemon. See, I'm into Lucario. I think I got into being a furry from having like a Lucario character way back in the day.
And using fear and terror, and the only culture that they encountered which could resist.
What else? What other song has this?
When we learn the skill of assembling this fire in the heart, we can make the centering force to steer its way and travel through the heart of the sun.
Okay, so that little phrase there.
Learn the skill of assembling this fire in the heart.
When we learn the skill of assembling this fire in the heart. Meaning, if we can reach a point of understanding all of the different directions of which emotions approach us from, then that creates, like a fire in the heart. That's strong emotions, right? It is the ability for your emotions to just tug you into a different reality. And If you're into Lucario, go read that 4 million SSB fanfic on fanfiction.net. The thing is, here's the thing. I read that author's fanfics he put out before he started that. I followed that author on fanfiction.net. I read his cringe fucking, like, half, like, broken English, just getting a start on writing fanfic, Lucario self, like hurt comfort fanfics and shit probably aren't up anymore. I don't know. I know that fucking... I'm so proud of that author. They wrote the longest work in the English language. Good. I haven't read that 4 million word Super Smash Bros. Fan fiction, but I seen it, and like when I went to check it out after reading an article about it, I was like, oh my god! And I like scrolled through the like author's old fanfics, and I was like, oh my god! God. What was I talking about? Something about Dan Winter. I keep talking about Pokemon. Yeah, there's that thing. If you learn the skill to assemble if you learn the skill of assembling the fire in the heart, you can then steer your way through the heart of the sun and travel. That is such a profound idea, because understanding the way that quarks form led to me sort of realizing what other universes would be built like in different like schemes of dimensionality and what roles they would take. And like it's like from there, when I have that like conception of like Kuro or Jaquel or whatever in my head, I don't just think of them as like, here's that story. There's like a weird mental like I enter like a different, I think about the rules of a different universe. I think about the different ways that culture would develop because of the material that forms in that universe. I think about all of that. That's why I really want to just post the fucking archetype chart and have like a... It's so difficult to explain. I've been trying to do this the entirety of PAR, and I'm actually writing an entirely different series without voice acting where I can just go over this shit, because it's so extensive to just explain this like 7-circle fucking chart. But that's what my mind goes to, is this center with a bunch of angles it can leave out of. And which angle you decide to leave out of is the universe that you sort of like end up in and assume. And so like I know that there is, we'll never see it, it's not near here, it's not on our fucking resonance, it's not in our like, okay, I half dated this person named Tara when I was like 13. And they had a thing about how dragons were real. And like in a world, in a universe where it's not here, where things are different, I know that they exist. I know that they exist because they're such a prominent archetype. If we can come up with them, God can come up with them somewhere. And to quote Lil Dicky, why can't God fuck with aliens? So, like, when I think about Kuro or Jaquel or any of these figures, I sort of, I peer into, like, the feeling of their universe. And I understand the shit they're going through. And it's like, and like, the more that I explore that, the more that these archetypes become more real to me. Because it's like, the only archetypes I can really envision are things that would share my own experience in such a way, right? Up to a certain point. And so, like, I know out there somewhere in some other universe, in some other plane of resonance, orbiting some other star in, that will never have anything to do with me. I know there's a little fucking, like, a pompous, like, blue jay dragon who's sitting in a fucking nest chair and writing shit and sending it down to the planet. I know there's a universe that works that way. I know that character exists because I've talked to so many other fucking people that have seen or heard or had visions or experiences of these figures and this place and like and all of the symbolism that surrounds them. And I've heard about it over and over again. And it's just simple to me. It's just simple to me that if these things can exist in our mental space, then in a different arrangement of material, the choices that build up to get to such a position could go that way. There could be a gas giant populated with fucking birds and plant islands. There has to be. Because we can think of it. Think God can't? God. Anyway. But it's that same thing, you know, there's another universe where you're the new Beyonce, right? And there's universes like this that are all sort of tangential and touching the reality that we're in, right? And I can't go be a dragon on a gas giant. No. I can approximate that experience given my own, you know, I can learn about it, I can write about it, I can channel it, and I can still go back to my day-to-day and do whatever the fuck I need to do in a day. I can just believe that at my heart, I'm the god of Dragon Planet. I can believe I'm the sun. I can believe I'm the planet Jupiter. And I can believe that in another universe, in another lifetime, when my soul fucking figures some shit out, I'll be all of those things eventually. But yeah. When we learn the skill of assembling this fire in the heart, we can steer our way to the heart of the sun and travel. I'm going off screen to take a hit of this shit. Because sometimes I would just straight up do drugs on stream because I'd be depressed. And now, I used to be all fucked up on drugs. But now that I've found the Lord, now I'm all fucked up on the Lord. But gas stations started selling CBD now. Just raw bud. CBD. Crazy. So now I got it. No THC in this. I have the entire ritual. I can fucking smoke all day. Affect nothing. Not lose any, cognizance. Just sort of feel my muscles a little bit looser. It's like shitty CBD, too. It's not doing fucking anything. I just need to not be fucking myself up all the time. I used to be on Vicodin. And thank you, Cosmo Cosmic. That means a lot. Sorry, I just had to punctuate a spiel by smoking. Can smoke? Yeah. Oh, God. Oh, fuck. Am I missing the backing one? Publish. Backing. Is this MP3 or is this FLAC? I need FLAC. Cut me some flack. I caught it working on. I caught flag, but I think I earned a makeshift vacation. Mad Catz Nutty Dogs, old PlayStation. That's not a drug? CBD? You could call it a drug. It has effects. Don't do, here's the thing. If you're gonna smoke weed, you need to have an adventure with it, right? Don't get addicted to any kind of altered state of consciousness. Don't rely on it. If you're going to smoke weed, which I think is mostly harmless if you do it once or twice, do that. Do it once or twice. Or do it for a month or two straight. Do it until you reach the point where every single object around you is a different reality and you have to reconstruct it in your own head. Do it until you're fucking, the gravity around you starts to melt and you have to realign your head's feeling of which way uphill is toward what is actually surrounding you. If you're gonna smoke weed to break your fucking psyche. Smoke weed to blow open doors of your mind. Don't do it to calm down or get to sleep. You'll stop having dreams, and you'll wake up feeling shitty every day. I've done edibles like once or twice, and Jesus Christ. That was the thing that broke me. That was the thing that broke my psyche. But CBD, there's no THC in this. None of the like mental aspect of this is it's just not there. And the ashes burn different. The ashes burn more white than black. I remember when I wrote that line, I'd given up smoking for a month. That didn't last very long. Now I just smoke not drugs. I was looking for something like a substitute forever because, like, you know, vape pens are one thing, and you know, it's just about having a habit. It's just about like habits, and weed as a habit. You know, even though chemically you can just go a day and be like, I'm not gonna smoke weed today, and you can commit to that. But if you're just going through your day to day and you don't have that resolve, and sometimes, you know, you're doing some hard work and taking some hard breaks, you just feel like, I need to take drugs. And I know people that smoke nicotine, and it's the same thing. They get stressed, they get a bunch of shit going on, and they just think like, you know, the one thing that I can do to return to familiarity is smoke. And every second that I'm not returning to that sense of familiarity, I'm getting more stressed out. But I think ultimately you shouldn't smoke weed every day. There's people that do that. I can't knock them for it. If it's working for them, that's great. It does not work for me. I lose so much time, and oh God. Did you end up making it home, by the way? I missed that. I'm concerned. All right. Humans are creatures of habit. Sometimes you just gotta replace certain addictions with less harmful ones. Yeah, that's basically how I got into like cannabis a couple of years ago. Because how many of you know my like how many of you were following me when I was like hard in the Homestuck fandom and like not doing much else? Like back in the Tumblr days. I'll just say the Tumblr days. How many of you knew me in the Tumblr days? Because I can say, the one thing I was doing tumbling. Oh, you took an Uber home. I'm glad you got home though. The totally lost my train of thought. The one thing that I was doing. I was gonna make a joke. The one thing I was tumbling were fucking Vikes. It's like corn in the Midwest. You reach your arm out far enough and you'll grab some. Like through high school and throughout like college, I was doing painkillers, too often. Too fucking often. Getting off of that, like, I got into antidepressants. And when I started taking antidepressants, I got too scared to take Vicodin. But then I weaned off those antidepressants. Got started on some different antidepressants that acted on different things. And at that point in my life, I stopped giving a shit, and I started taking painkillers again. And I ended up getting off of them by, by getting into cannabis. and like it was one of those things where you're kind of gone for an hour, and then for the next week, like all of your physiology just chills out. And so, when fighting withdrawals of drugs and getting off of like heavier like habits that I had, cannabis was good for that. I think that's like it's the opposite of a gateway drug, honestly. It got me off of some hard shit. And but the thing is that you hit a wall with addictions, and I started hitting a jewel. I got into nicotine because I was trying to quit smoking weed, which is stupid. I got into vaping nicotine. It's dumb. It's a bad idea. Don't do it. And it would always make me feel nauseous. Like I was super sensitive to nicotine. But God, but I keep doing it because it would like it would hit me. God. Replace meth addictions to being addicted to working out. That's a really good fucking idea because there's a thing called BDNF, brain-derived neurotrophic factor. When your body is doing repetitive motions, your physiology like gets the message that like, oh, we should be better at doing these repetitive motions. So when you get into like doing exercising regularly, when if you're exercising regularly, doing like 15, 20, 30 minutes of repetitive motions of different kinds that are like straining you and straining your muscles, your brain and your nerves are going to produce more of a thing that makes your muscles and your nerves just more excited to do stuff. And so your willpower goes up, your mood and the energy that you perceive yourself as having goes up. Just by exercising. I think people need to promote exercising not about weight loss, but about feeling better. And like, that can do it. That can do it. Yeah, I didn't start smoking weed regularly until I was 21, so. But now I smoke hemp. My friend says that this shit's way too strong too harsh, rather, compared to, like THC bud, but I really don't get that. And honestly, I cough so much, and I barely cough on that shit. But I still gotta put the song out. It's 7. I've been streaming for like, oh my god. Gotta stir yourself a gusset. Have a nice day. I'm glad you showed up. Glad you found my stream. Okay. Let's make these posts. I want to just talk more universe. There's so many comments on Cargalicious. What the fuck? Congrats on being... Wait. I made this account just to say that you should be ashamed.
We can make the
Damn it!
force to steer its way and travel through.
At least you didn't start playing Cargalicious. Fuck! Why can't... I just replied, I'm. Fuck me. There. No, I just noticed because, like, none of the... it just stood out to me. So I was like, whoa. my god. Congrats on being the one thing that gets me to read Homestuck. Whoa! I know W, the new Broadway Carca. Fuck. Yes, you are. Fuck. I am. Yes, you are. Yeah! It's almost like that's what the song is in the context of the story. I'm. Like, think of. I just wanna spoil some etc. reverse here, because I don't know how many people have totally thought this one through, but But the idea of Kuro talking to game pieces and telling them what they are, if you consider the flip side of that, that there was a character who got talked to by a god character and was told that. There's not really a coherent way I can actually, like, bring together that spoiler shit. What the fuck was I gonna say? The etc. verse is a hard thing to navigate how to talk about. There's going to be like a series of sort of like beings communicating with each other and being like, "Hey, you're a god, right?" And they're like, "No." But this is sort of the start of that. The "I am a god and so are you" is kind of the is kind of going to be the like handshake, the multiversal handshake of the etc. verse. Haven't even listened to Cargalicious yet. It's one of those things where like you can gather enough about what the experience would be like without having it. In terms of my headset was going out. All right, post 1 audio. Light rays. Patrons only. Early access. This will become public on 6/19. That's right. Jeez, that's in 3 days. Fuck. All right. Yeah. No, I'm not gonna play that shit on stream. This ain't a Homestuck stream.
I'ma turn around, trolls gather round, always sniffing at me, trying to guess the color of my blood.
You see, the problem is I get a copyright strike if I play more than 2 seconds of it because it's got Fergalicious in the background. So I can't. I can't do it. Or else, like, the point of doing the long stream videos fizzles out. Oh my god. Alright. Is there any more...
If you hear me...
There's no more, like, blurbs to talk about at the beginning of these. Oh, there's the Jovian Whistler one.
You are listening to Jovian Whistlers. Electromagnetic.
When I did the 413 stream, like I got copyright strikes on everything because of Fergalicious being in it so much. So like, I can do that thing where I can share revenue, but it just means I don't get to control the ads, and I don't want YouTube controlling ads on my videos. So try not to do that.
Phenomena caused by lightning in Jupiter's atmosphere.
The whole Jovian Whistler thing was like when I like sort of discovered that like a week before putting out Perfect, because it was fucking gold to be writing an angry alien bird who rules Jupiter, and to see a video get put up where like in the first 30 seconds of it, someone's like, this is what Jupiter actually sounds like. Angry alien birds. That was the same feeling to me as looking out the window and seeing the fucking like swirling storms on my wall. That was the same feeling of like, I keep telling you, I'm fucking Dragon God. You just see the human part of this play. God. Yeah. Where the fuck? Where's my post? Here. Alright. Forgot I'm on my hair glitter? Oh, I'm so sorry. Stars and planets aligning. I can't fucking wait to do Stellar Side. God. I've been writing songs for a project that's not gonna start for a bit. I want to say months, but I don't know. But when the series moves to the perspective of the astrocartographer, there's a lot more like fiery things I'm writing about, and just like the thing about stars and planets aligning, there's like a line that starts with that, and it's like, oh, I want to show that song off, but I don't have it on anything. Okay. For planets align, and I survive this. When the stars all collapse and die, perpetual stellar sight when you and I mix. God. My sister used to shower after Pride. I was like, what strange red mold did you bring into my bathroom? I was like, oops, it was just glitter. Wow. Need more ARG shit to suffer over. So there's going to be something that's a bit more detached from the musical releases, and will just be text-based, that's going to run through probably August to October, I would say. And that'll be maybe 6 or 7 posts. But it's basically going to complete the exposition of explaining what the multiverse is and where these characters are in it, basically. And so when I start the next story, then we can understand oh, you know, who are these? Who are the animal figures? Who are the Drac? What are they? What? How are they involved? What the fuck is the bug grid? Who the fuck are the AI? Um, like I just want to like solidify everything for like an act or a sub act basically, and then dive into the story where all of those elements are in full swing. It's I have to set up a universe, right? I have to set up a universe that is almost as complex as ours. Um, there's actually 8 universes, and so it's hard to just start into a story. I tried that, and then I realized I have to explain so much fucking more than this. So I'm trying to get all of the explaining out so I can raw cold start like the beginning of PAR was, totally different story, and have it make more sense from the get go, basically. Um, is this gonna deal with the resonant band stuff? Yes. Yes. The next series is going to be mostly talking about resonant bands and different frequency, different universes along different frequencies, and how those relate and interact with each other. It's really going to be it's just going to be the AI and the bug grid trying to like consolidate what they know about things. 8, why not 9? I don't know what that, I don't know. 8 universes, well, because there's 8 notes in an octave. So if you were to divide up different resonances along, 9 is a good number, yeah, but like if you were to divide resonances along the kinds of perception that beings have, you end up at 7 or 8. 9 just gets a bit redundant. If you have 9, then it sort of implies that how do I say this? Oh, this is difficult to. It's the eightfold path. It's based on the eightfold path. It's based on the quark model, basically. I'm trying to explain. God. I'm trying to explain deeper level shit, and then I remember this universe is built on quarks. I can just say that. I don't have to explain the hypothet. Like, no, it works that way. Fuck. But yeah, the eightfold way, and musical resonance and musical notes, like those are all related, and that's one of the things that, in the context of my mythos, it's going to explain how that is. Hopefully, fuck, hopefully I can do that well enough. All right, instrumental. Let's upload all this shit. All of you. Put it there. Yep. Okay. Then here I attach light rays. I'm gonna charge for it. That's what I gotta do. Fuck. Light rays. Thanks for thanks it's 7:24, goddamn. Thanks everyone for coming to my stream and watching me cry for an hour and then talk about shit for an hour. I'm gonna keep doing this until I get all this stuff up on Patreon, so I can just leave and be like, hey patrons, go check it out. And y'all can continue. Since it's 7:24, I should probably mention what I'm going to be doing around 7:24. It'll be the 7th year that I've been putting out music, and it will be the 7th anniversary of Trying Too Hard, which was my quickly thrown together attempt at an album to see if I could raise money to get into college. In other words, first album I put out when I was 18 came out 7 years ago. And so to celebrate it, I'm going to be doing a few streams over the week of July 24th, where I listen to and offer commentary about all of the High End Case songs. All of them. I'm just going to be going through all 3 of the albums, listening to them song by song, answering questions, talking about stuff, talking about how I made certain things, talking about, like, just and, for a start, if anyone wants to go to my Curious Cat or my Twitter, you can start sending me fucking anything about any High M Case or Harmonic Series albums you want to know. Cause I just fucking, there's not gonna be another time, maybe 10 years. But I just think, 7 years since 724 seems like the right time to do a retrospective on, like, the first, 5 years of me doing music. So, how old am I? I am 25 years old. Mid to late 20s. Yeah. Seven years is so long. Yeah, it is. It doesn't feel like that long. That's the thing, is like, there was a person that I was, and then I was just sort of plucked out of that. And I've just been in this totally different experience ever since. And it does not feel like it's been 7 years. It doesn't feel like 10 years since Homestuck started, but fuck, Sometimes I feel like I haven't even been alive for 7 years. I still feel like I'm like 18. I don't feel like an adult. I feel like I gotta try really hard to fucking pretend to be. I feel like it's a responsibility. I don't have an option but to be an adult. But I'm a fucking idiot. I don't know how people do it. I'm all over the place. I could be living if I got my shit together, if I was as, totally harmonized and in and locked in, and I just rode that for like 3 years straight, I could have been in a much different place. But I'm human. I'm fucked up. I've just been fucking at this for so long. I've done some things, but not enough. Context always pulled me back. Yeah, that's how I feel about my whole life. I feel like anything that I could have done, I could have taken farther, but life got in the way. But I'm sort of done with that, because I realize, like, this year especially, like, I've been doing things, I've been busting my ass to make sure that I can get everything up that I want to get up. And I've been burning out more because of it. And I've been, there's been a lot of other stuff going on that's made me have to, like, catch up on things more often than I would like to, rather than just being on a steady schedule. But, like, I realized, I could put in half the amount of effort, or a third of the amount of effort, twice as often, or twice as much, dedicate more time and more stability, and less being, ADD and hopping around and doing 7 different things at once, like I'm fucking doing now. I could get things done. I could get things done in a quicker pace, with more care taken. And I think about, like, if I was perfect, if I had, like, a perfect attention span, I wouldn't still be in this studio. I'd be in a fucking penthouse in Chicago. The fuck? I'll get there by 30. No, I'll probably still keep streaming from here. I'll stream from here, and then I'll stream from my penthouse. I'll stream from the theater. I have no fucking like. That's the thing is, I feel like if I had a little bit more discipline and a little bit more planning and a little bit more ability to stick to those plans without something shiny distracting me, I would be God. There's that post like, when I get my own house and a car and a credit card and learn how to talk on the phone. Whoo boy. Like, y'all are gonna. I don't even remember how that post ends, but it's one of those things where, like, if I got to, like, being a basic fucking human being, then whoo boy, I'm gonna show y'all. Like, that's how I feel. That's how I feel. Like, I'm totally fucking incapable of doing any of this shit consistently, but somehow I do. I gotta put out a bigger version of that. Hell, a bunch of shit in the back burner. I keep creating more and more without being able to develop any of the shit that I've done. That's what. Yeah. No, I feel that. Here's the thing. Here's something that I call this hourglass method or hourglass theory, and it's a long-term thing, but it's a long-term thing that you can narratize like retrospectively. As you dream about doing things and you make different, you start on projects, you get this forest, this huge like amount of like probability. There's like this big, space of all these things you want to do. But your ability to do them or the time you have to do all of the things that you want, like that narrows and narrows as like as time goes on. And eventually you'll get to a point. You'll get to a point where the little thing that you can do, the amount of effort that you can put into something, enables you to finish one small thing. And it might not be directly in the chain of what you think everything else is going to be. But you finish that one thing, and then you realize, all right, I can do that. I have the effort to do that. I can do something bigger. I can do something bigger. I can do something bigger than that. And you'll realize after you get to this point that all of that something bigger you can do is now comparable to ideas back here. And you think, well, I can do these big ideas. I can work until I can make those big ideas. You know? Hourglass. You reach the bottleneck where dreams start coming reality. And if you keep chasing the reality, you'll find that the space you're exploring is made of your dreams. That's the best way I can put that. All right. Yeah. I have The problem is the idea I have is much, much bigger than a small thing. Then come up with a smaller idea. I wanted to do a big sprawling fucking ARG with like art and animations and all this other stuff. And like I didn't see any like medium of which that kind of shit had been done. And like I didn't have the resources to be able to do it, and I sort of shelved that, and I sort of shelved a bunch of the other ideas that I had. Then I started a voice acting blog. Totally, totally barely like related to any of the stuff that I wanted to do. I wanted to be a writer. I wanted to be a musician. I started a voice acting blog, and the sheer routine of doing something and putting it up did something to me. Did something to like, I don't need to make my big ideas. I can come up with a new small idea and do it. And from there I started editing, things with Foley. And from there I got hired to do soundtracks and sound design for a couple games. And I've been putting out music, and I built a fucking thing that lets me monetize stuff that I put out and generates me a passive income the more stuff that I do. And I got that to a place where I was like, oh shit, that ARG I wanted to do, I can do it now. And it takes a while to get there. You can have big dreams. Be okay with also having smaller dreams. Be okay with being able to just latch onto something small. The point is not to let go of your bigger dreams. The point is to keep those on the back burner and to do whatever you can to get stuff done and accomplish what you can that starts that engine of accomplishment and completion. You know. A lot of it is making more unnecessarily tough for ourselves than we need to be. Oh, I'd say so. There's that post about like, there's a staircase where if you get to the bottom, you hear every compliment that has ever been said. There's a room where you just sit there and you hear that forever. But as you go down the staircase, you have to listen to and read all of the worst things that anyone's ever said about you. And so there's that fear of like we all want to be loved. We all want people to recognize us and love us. But we're so afraid of being known and seen in any angle that isn't that thing that we think is at the core of us. A song in mind about fog? Well, let me tell you something. You have a song in mind about fog? I had a song in mind about smoke. It still pays my electric bill. Wait, shit. Hang on. Why can't I do this? Make me big. There we go. God. It's great to hear you talk. Thanks for showing up. I'm glad you could make it to the stream. This ended up being something interesting. I haven't even fucking eaten yet. I gotta get this up so I can make my tacos. Fuck. God. Smoke Damage was the first song I put up on Patreon. And it was another one of those things that just happened. So The big grandeur things comes when you have big grandeur momentum behind them, and sometimes it's all out of nowhere, you know. Sometimes it's luck, sometimes it's just a feeling, and sometimes things blow up. That's rare, but usually the momentum of accomplishing huge things comes from the building up of accomplishing other smaller things. Um, and I think there's something to be said for creativity. Part of creativity that people seem to miss out on is you need to put stuff out. There's You can practice, you can want to do whatever you want to do. The sooner you can put stuff out and just have it receiving feedback, whether people get it or not, then you can gauge, you know, do I put more work into this? Is this more quality? How do I catch more eyes with this? How do I make this seem the best it can be? It drives you to present a better version of yourself every time you put something out, because that disappointment that you might feel with your first things like hitting the internet, and I'm not trying to say that like I don't think you've ever done anything, but this is just like a general point of like it's part of the creative process to complete and get feedback, and it's part of the next thing that you do. That was part of that process. The fact that you finished something before it, giving myself a deadline. Oh boy. Shit. I wish you luck. But yeah, no, that's the is Siri trying to fucking
I don't.
No, you don't. Um But yeah, I think that, getting things out, like getting something accomplished and then getting feedback from it is, I consider that like part of the creative process for the next thing. Because the emotions and the feedback and like just the bare whatever you're getting as you go into something new is gonna determine. It fuels your creativity and it fuels the way that you want to execute your creativity, basically. In a month, I'm going to release a song. Should the worst happen, I I am excited for you. Link me that when it's done. Servers. You only need to be brave for 5 seconds. Yeah. Yeah. For me, it takes me an hour. It takes me sometimes 2 hours from finishing a song to putting it up on Patreon. So that whole 2 hours, I have the fucking, like, fearing rejection anxiety. I have that, oh my god, it's going up, it's going up. I feel that for 2 hours straight. Don't live like me. Hire other people to post your shit. God. The All right. Finally heading home. Hell yeah. Hell yeah. I'm almost done with putting this up. So when you get home, I can start making them tacos. I've had the jackfruit marinating. Where's Where's Casey's page? Heart stitched. Is that still it? Okay, yeah. Okay. That, select tier, the observer. Yes. Oh shit, tacos. They're jackfruit tacos. I'm making some Cajun jackfruit tacos tonight. Because I wanted to try jackfruit once, and then saw that, like, if you get an actual jackfruit, they're, like, huge and, like, $20. So I just bought $20 worth of canned jackfruit, and now I have a bunch of cans of jackfruit, and I just make, like, pulled pork-esque, like, vegan shit with it every once in a while. Alright. Did I upload backing MP3? Where is it? Where'd it go? Backing MP3. No, I have backing MP3. I need backing FLAC? Yeah. Back in FLAC. There we go. What's jackfruit taste like? Bland and meaty. When it's ripe, it tastes sort of banana-y, sort of mango-y. But when it's green, which is usually when you're using it for meat substitutes, when it's green, it almost tastes like it tastes like stewed meat. I don't know how to put it, but it's got a weird, not like umami, but this kind of savoriness that you would associate with meat. Yeah, have fun listening to fucking Carcolicious. God. Alright, and then... Oh shit, I gotta get the stems sorted. I was gonna do that and get them uploading, and that would have taken so much time, and I didn't do that. It's been 2 hours. Oh, that shit takes the longest to upload. I could have been doing that. I gotta have, like, post-it notes here, like note cards that tell me what to work on. Buses. Base. Still sounds great. God. I want to eat more plant-based stuff. Cause mostly like it, just because like it gives me a reason to avoid fast food and like junk food a lot more. If I like restrict myself to like, okay, I'm gonna be plant-based, then that takes, all the shit I can get in like a convenience store, takes it out of the question. Like beef jerky and like Wendy's and all that, like all the stuff that's nearby, hot dogs, like it just cuts it out. And like I like that. I would rather live my life that way just to have that principle there, just so I avoid other things on that principle. Was gonna grill tonight, but I walked several miles at Pride. Yeah, don't burn yourself out. Pads. Okay, so synths, pads, atmosphere. Okay, bonus fills is a vocal track. Pads, atmosphere, citrus shark. That's guitar. strings. I believe that's in cents. Talk back. These are vocal lines. And light thing, I believe that's stems. Or no, not stems. Duh. Synths. Kicks, hi-hats, plectrums. Is that a bass? Yes. I'm gonna put that in guitar. Bass. Okay. Then I don't think I need any of these. What's sum 16? Okay, that's the guitars. It's like the guitars as a whole. Okay. Stints. Are you eating the stems? Yeah. Yeah, I'm compressing them so I can put them up on Patreon. I have all the rest of the posts ready on Patreon. I just gotta put the stems up. So I might do that, soon thing while it uploads because it's gonna take so fucking long to upload if I'm also streaming. So I just wanna lights 174, and this was, I believe, A sharp. Wait, is it not done? Oh, okay, it's still got a archive. Yeah. There was another thing. There's a quote from Ray Shepherdson that my dad told me. And since I'm nearing the end of streaming here, I streamed for 3 hours. How? Or 2.5 rather, but I didn't want to stream this long. I just keep getting distracted by the universe and emotions. What my dad told me was, or he said, Ray always told me, keep aiming for targets that nobody else yet sees. And so, that's sort of what I look at with the hourglass thing is like there's things in my head that people have no idea, and I couldn't even begin to explain to them like what these things are. But I have a very strong trajectory. I know what I'm after. That's powerful. Yeah. Ray Shepherdson was a character. I also think he's a construct. As someone who is so fake enough that I consider myself a construct more than a mortal being, I believe that Ray Shepherdson was also one of those. And the reason I think that is because he collected chandeliers. And he bought all of these theaters and juggled chandeliers between them. He restored chandeliers. That was his main passion, is he fucking loved the designs of chandeliers. And I have these photos. There's a photo at the end of my hallway because it's so fucking just mesmerizing. It's standing underneath a chandelier in a theater that was restored that used to be an old church. And so the layout of the thing and like the design of it is clearly the glowing ball of everything that you see when you're on like heavy psychedelics. Like definitely DMT'd up, shining sphere with little things radiating out the sides. This man lived to see the light. This man saw God. That was his whole fucking thing, is he would see that. He would take pictures that he would be fucking amazed. He would He would he would just wanted to make sure that that you could walk into a building and have a fucking wow moment, right? That was his whole deal. But that was an effect, right? He was into chandeliers. He juggled chandeliers. He moved chandeliers between buildings. He made the chandeliers go different places. Do you get where I'm going with this? What do chandeliers do? They bounce and direct light rays. His name is Ray Shepherdson. He bends light. He shepherds the rays. And I believe this might be the cult of Ray Shepherdson here. This whole little Urantia book. Kind of everyone in my family's got this sort of like, fresh out of church, ready to talk about Jesus sort of attitude about things, including the theater. And I would say Ray Shepherdson as like a real life figure is probably like the biggest like inspiration for like, because I've been scanning this guy's archives for the past 2 years. I've seen videos. I knew the guy. I met him a couple times when I was a kid. Met him quite a few times. My dad used to hang out with him all the fucking time because they were working on restoring a theater building. But that guy, he was the kind of guy who, they'd be working on like building shit, and he would be like, up on the top of a building, like standing fucking foot up right over the edge and like looking out and just being like, wow, crazy. Like, he fucking was like on the, like, he didn't give a shit. He didn't give a shit. He knew that he was being carried by like a greater purpose. And he restored 40 fucking theaters in his lifetime. Multi-million-dollar projects. Ray Shepherdson. I also think it's funny, like, I sort of, like, it's weird when I have, like, when I talk about, the past and, like, friends I had and, people that I originally started world building with. This is funny. People I started originally world building with were furries in a chat room. My name was Shinigami Gunts, which was a death god dog character in something. My best friend at the time was named Seth. He was dating someone named Ra. And we would sit here talking about world building and like alternate universes and shit. And we would just be like, oh yeah, so here's what's going on in this universe. And he would have all these fucking lucid dreams and he would tell me about them. The thing about Seth, he was a hybrid. He wasn't an actual animal. He made up a creature and said, I'm that. Like, Seth, the god. And now, I'm taking this guy's entire life, his entire livelihood, all of the memories of all of the things that he's left behind, and I'm archiving them to put on the internet, to put in a safe cloud storage place on the internet. I'm taking this dude's belongings, and I'm putting them in the cloud, and I do this ritually. Every morning. I'm Anubis.
takes 20 hours.
I want to know more about it. More about what? Being Anubis? About Ray Shepherdson's archives? About the CBD I'm sliding off screen to grind it back? Fuck. Here's the thing. What do you do if you're a sane human being and you have all these crazy experiences that you can narratize into something that makes sense? But the way that you narratize those things and the story that you come up with is clearly, well, I'm just an archetype that's been possessing a flesh bag. And apparently, the thought process that is ruling me has been around for thousands of years. That makes much more sense than I'm just some fuck-off animal that grew up in a theater. But that's the same thing, it's not like I scan the financial history of a historic theater I work at to put online. That's crazy! Financial history of the historic theater. Where do you work? We're cosmic buddies. I've added your songs to the playlist I listen to when I scan. You know what? I write most of those things when I'm scanning historical theater documents. You have a rival. Shit, I'm still down here. I'm still uploading stuff. Okay, I'm gonna get these things posted, and then I'm gonna post a soon thing. For these stems. So, bonus stems row. Soon. Alright. Here we go. Alright, bonuses for light rays are up. Light rays is up. Stems will be up soon. This is layers on top of layers. A community theater in northern Arizona that used to be a church. What's it called? Northern Arizona. I'm trying to think if I did anything in Arizona, because you might have. Arts Center, but that mostly just means theater with a gallery. Yeah, that's... Prescott Center for the Arts. Interesting. That's a weird... That's a weird coincidence. I've never met other theater archivists. Oh, here's a metaphysical thing. Madi and Haley can both attest to this. People who've lived here forever. You can go up to them and you can say, I live on the Kenosha Theater building. It's down on 6th. And they'll be like, you mean the Orpheum? And you can clarify however much you want to. No, it's called the Kenosha Theater. It says the Kenosha Theater on the front. It's behind this one music store. It's down the street from here. And you'll explain however much you can to like pinpoint the exact place that this theater is located. And their response will always be, you're talking about the Orpheum, right? No. We're not. What legendary Pokemon do you relate with? Oh, okay. Lucario. Legendary Lucario. If that's... Or, what? Mega Lucario. Fuck. I don't know if that's a legendary Pokemon. If it's okay, we have to pick a legendary Pokemon. Hello. You're here. I'll be upstairs soon. I might still make tacos.
Hell yeah.
If you don't want to cook anything.
Yeah.
Because it's not gonna take me that much time. So.
Cool.
Yeah. All right. You live in a liminal space. Absolutely, it's a fucking theater. People used to come here and perform. People are in and out of this place. I remember there was a quote. There was a quote from some old timer who's not around anymore, but someone that might was taken through the theater was quoting in the paper is like, and that theater is important. Half of this city's population was conceived on the balcony of that theater. Was like a fucking phrase for like someone from the fucking 20s. And he's making that joke because he knows at least one person who was conceived on the balcony of that theater. Recently started a capital campaign to rebuild our black box theater. But suddenly, our main stage theater starts breaking down here. And I'm like, y'all, she wants your attention too. That's a thing going on here where there's a city campaign where they actually got money to build a 1,200 seat performing arts center with some dinky fucking design with Chinese investors. And for the past 20 years, at least, we've been going to the city and being like, hey, there's a really cheap way to get this theater up and running again. And we have like the entire team to do it. And no one's listened to us. But they just allocated money. They just, met a grant from like some fucking Chinese investors and Chinese money that are building there. Because we got Foxconn and shit here now. So, all these old factory towns are basically getting, ventured up by Chinese venture capitalists, which is where, like America's done, by the way. If you want to go be a capitalist, go move to China. If you want to get rich, go move to China. We're not doing that here anymore. All the big politicians got homes elsewhere. They don't give a fuck about this country anymore. All the businessmen are either running it out of Europe or Eastern Europe or whatever, but they're doing most of their shit in China. So, rainwater leaking through 2 stories and getting dormant asbestos from my boss's bathroom into the Ooh. But, yeah, so here, now that the rich people are in, China, they're sort of just buying up the little factory town lands and being like, yeah, all this shit that America didn't care about, let's develop it. Make it ours. So, the birds are treating the dogs, but, it's just not America anymore. I still, like, can you believe, like, you grow up knowing fucking basically nothing in a little village where they fish for crabs. And you're, like, a kid, and you come to this city? Not even the biggest cities, but you go through the biggest cities, and you end up in this place where everyone's, like, got a decent-sized house and car, like there's all these amenities and shit, and life is just so modern here. And you get taken into this theater that looks like a fucking castle in the middle of Spain. It's fucking enormous. And you end up going there every week and you watch stage shows, you watch newsreels, all that shit. You see that there's a war going on. You apply in the draft. You get sent to the war. You fight in the war. You go on a fucking boat sent to Normandy Beach on D-Day. You survive just from the virtue of being small and knowing how to hide. You trade a couple cigarettes to a war prisoner for a pencil sketch, and you come back home, start a family, right? And everything's normal, everything's average, and you've gone on this whole fucking adventure since you came to the United States of America. It is a totally different reality to you. You find out someone's closing down that theater. It is the one amazing piece of America that you had before all of the bullshit, before all of the responsibility, before seeing people literally die. You see that one thing that you used to go to as a kid. You have the money. Your kids have the money. You buy it. And you could do that in America back in the day. This building's pretty loud too. This building speaks. This building's got a whole personality, and I think it's me. My grandpa's story is fucking crazy. Um, my dad's story is fucking crazy too. But you know, I've gone through that you know, being shell shocked by massive changes to my environment, and like, but just thinking about that. It's kind of ridiculous. I might actually, something that I might start doing soon is posting more about the Kenosha Theater. I'm thinking of starting the, I'm thinking of, you know, basically taking over social media for it and making more posts every once in a while, just about like things we find in the archive, facts about the building, facts about people involved with the building, what's going on here. Because like, you know, part of the reason that I want to be doing any of this is because I want to have another hub out there gaining notoriety that isn't just tied to, you know, Jeff Boss trying to get the theater restored. You know, I want to be able to be an artist and do stuff in my own right, so that if I were to blow up and get super famous and fucking, I don't know, get on like Good Morning America or some shit, like, I want to be able to just have that opportunity to be like, hey, go check out the Kenosha Theater. Please. So, you know, that's really, but at this point it's like I could just start talking from here about the theater because I know a lot of stuff. So I might keep you guys updated if I start doing that. Hamsters. I thought you were Femi C. Okay, you're still Femi C. Okay, sorry, I got lost on SoundCloud for a second. Yeah. Now I feel that. I'd love to hear more about the theater if you do. Well, right now you can look up Rust Belt Ruins and you can see some video of it. My friend Ken from Computer Clan also did a video of it, which is weird. I found Computer Clan's channel years and years ago when I was developing UI for something, and I wanted to get some reference shots of like old Mac OS stuff, and they were that kind of niche interest that I liked, where they had all this stuff to go and capture old video from old computers and shit, and I loved that shit. Then we started talking, and it turns out they wanted to do more like live action like film documentary sort of shit. And they have some really good footage of the theater. So if you Google Kenosha Theater, if you look on YouTube for Kenosha Theater, you can find those videos. It's really easy to point out because it looks like it's the background here. It's the background in the Crow's Eyed stuff. It's the background on the High MK's banners. You'll recognize it as like, oh, that's that. But yeah, let me get this post up, and then I'm gonna sign out because it is 15 minutes after 8, and I've been going for 10 minutes to 3 hours. So let's, where's that photo? Cool. Alright, is that still uploading? I want to see how long that's going to take. A while. Gotta love that accidental 3-hour stream. I was thinking I was only going to go for like an hour, just to be like, hey, I'm launching a song. Got it. It's done. Okay, bye. But no, I like I'm going to think about doing a podcast or just doing about like talk streams and just having like guests on to talk about stuff because I like doing that. I liked doing the Homestuck retrospective stream. Especially when like a bunch of my old friends and like people I don't talk to, people I'm fucking never cordial with, like join the call and I'm just like, hey guys, we're doing a show. Like I love that. I love that just sort of energy of like of just, kind of, like reducing like interactions, just like let's talk about a subject. Let's just put shit aside for a second and just talk about like random shit. I think that's fun. So I might, over the summer I'll see after, the 24th, the next 724 goes by. I'll see what else content wise I can keep on my plate. So thanks for coming. If you guys are patrons, you can find the song If you're a patron, you can find the song Light Rays up on Patreon right now. And you will be able to find stems in an hour when that's done uploading. This full stream will be up. I'm probably going to clip a couple things from it and put it up over the course of the week. But thank you guys so much for coming. I'm going to put the frame up, and then I'm going to play the song one more time. So, have a good week. Good luck out there. Keep climbing. Do not ever look down. And remember, I'm trying to think of words. Hang on. Remember the sun. Remember what it's done for you. And remember what you mean to it. Thanks. Have a good night. Oh wait, I gotta... yeah.
Without the dark, we can't make out the stars. night, day, singing through the void. How did you get to be the noise without stress behind your choices? From afar, our counterparts keep us alive. Without the dark, there'd be no need to shine. How does it feel to see the light? What's life like from outside? There's a moment in time we get to exist. Only the sun in the sky will be around to see the aftermath. We live, we die, but are we greater than this? The scale of life gave us lies about how we answer that. It's cold and heat and love and hurt. There's places where none of this works. Through shadows and valleys and troughs and dirt, we got it all here. Do you tire of hiding life away to shine so I can drive the way? I only code on earth here. Are we the frontier? I know your light rays, night, days, harmonize the noise. Can you hear how loud your voice is? Is it luck? Is it your choices? From afar, our counterparts keep us alive. When it's dark, I know you're here to shine. How does it feel to be the light? What's life like from inside? The light. What's life like from inside? Without the dark, we can't make out the stars. Without the night, we forget where the lights are. Every peak you'll reach is far from clear. Without nadirs, we misplace what our heart fears. You know my light rays, night, day, singing through the void. Did you get to be the noise without stress behind your choices? From afar, our counterparts keep us alive. Without the dark, there'd be no need to shine. How does it feel to see your light rays, night, days, harmonize the noise? Can you hear how loud your voice is? Is it luck? Is it your choices? From afar, our counterparts keep us alive. When it's dark, I know you're here to shine. How does it feel to be the light?
Good night, stream.